Since I was a child, I've had a unique constitution. I can recognize people by their scent. My elder sister is as beautiful as a flower, gentle and pure-hearted, and she carries the fragrance of orchids. Chen Yuru, who envies my sister from the Chen family, is full of malice and carries a faint scent of garbage water. But Ji Jie is different. His scent changes every day. One day it's the savory aroma of steamed buns, the next it's the refreshing scent of pine and bamboo, and the day after, it's the fragrance of flowers. It wasn't until later that I realized this guy was trying to marinate himself thoroughly every single day. You idiot, I want a divorce. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now, the story begins. My mother said that ever since I was born, I've been like a little puppy, always sniffing around everywhere. I told her I was smelling everyone's scent, and that each person's scent is different. Mother smells of osmanthus wine, elder sister smells of orchids, elder brother smells of pine resin, and father carries the scent of incense from the prayer hall. I don't like it. Mother said I was being ridiculous, that no one in our household ever uses incense, so where could these scents possibly come from? Later, when my elder sister's close friend Chen Yuru came to our house, I noticed that both Chen Yuru herself and the date cakes she brought for my sister carried a faint odor of garbage water. When no one was looking, I fed the date cakes to Big Black in my courtyard. My sister is fragrant and lovely, she shouldn't have to eat something that smells so bad. But as soon as Chen Yuru left, Da He drooped his tail and defecated all over the yard. Li Qing sensed something was wrong and hurried to find Mother. Mother looked at the listless Da He, then had the house doctor carefully examine the date cakes, her face filled with anger. Chen Yuru, so young yet so vicious, at tomorrow's poetry gathering, she wants to prevent your elder sister from attending. I wrinkled my nose. When Mother is angry, she carries a scent of fireworks. Mother gathered me into her arms and gently patted my back. Ah Sui, how did you know there was medicine in those date cakes? She has a smell of slop on her. And the date cakes she brought also have a smell of slop. I don't like it. Mother thought for a moment and gently asked me, Asway, what does Mother smell like? Mother smells like osmanthus wine, fragrant and sweet with a little spiciness. I nestled in Mother's arms, speaking earnestly, but just now, Mother had the smell of fireworks on her. Asway, from now on, if you smell something unpleasant on someone, you can only tell Mother, okay? Mother tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear, and you must never tell anyone that you can smell scents on people other than their perfumes. I kept my mother's words in mind and never mentioned the matter to anyone again. But recently, people have been coming to the house looking for my brother, and there are always new scents in the courtyard. Mother said the Lin family intends to propose marriage to my sister. And the man in blue clothes who has been visiting frequently is the eldest son of the Lin family, the one who wants to marry my sister. What about that brother in white clothes? Mother paused for a moment, then laughed. That's the youngest son of the Ji family. He's only a few years older than you, but by seniority, you should call him uncle. Why are you asking about him? Asui, he carries the scent of steamed buns, so fragrant. Mother poked my forehead with a smile. And what about that elder brother from the Lin family? What scent does he carry? The smell of strong liquor, the really spicy kind. Mother summoned Auntie Chen and sent someone to spend a great deal of money investigating the affairs in the eldest son of the Lin family's courtyard. The person who reported back said that although Lin Shu appeared gentle and kind on the surface, in private, his temper was extremely violent, and he would frequently beat and scold the people in his courtyard. When father found out, he took the pastry from my hand, rubbed his stubble against my face for a while, and said resentfully, I always wondered why you run away every time you see me. So it turns out you don't like the smell on your father. I giggled as father's stubble tickled me. Just then, Uncle Chen's voice came from outside the door, saying that the young master of the Ji family had come to pay respects to father and mother. I broke free from father's embrace and sat properly beside mother. After watching Ji Jie finish paying his respects to my parents, I secretly took a sniff. My eyes sparkled as I looked at Ji Jie, the taste of hawthorn berries. After Ji Jie left, I climbed down from the small couch, trotted after him, and looked up at him. Are you going to marry my sister? Ji Jie took 2 sticks of candied hawthorn from his pocket and handed them to me. Do you want me to marry your sister? I took the candied hawthorn and nodded seriously. You smell nice, and my sister smells nice too. I want you to marry my sister. My sister didn't marry Ji Jie. Mother said my sister had her own ideas and chose Wei Heng, the eldest son of General Wei's family. I frowned upon hearing this. The scent of incense on Wei Heng was even stronger than on my father, but mother said it was good. that he was even 2 points steadier than my father, on the day my sister got married. I cried so hard I was hiccuping. Jijia appeared out of nowhere and handed me a small handful of pine nuts. I tilted my head and sniffed. Today, Jijia smelled of pine nuts. My parents were so busy they were spinning in circles. Jijia patted the back of my head and said, "Your sister and brother-in-law bought a house on East Street near your home. From now on, you'll be able to see your sister every day. Come on, you must be tired from crying, let's go eat first." Holding the pine nuts, I followed Jijia, feeling that something wasn't quite right. When I returned home with a sugar figurine Jijia bought me in my left hand and sesame candy in my right, my elder brother was leaning against the doorpost waiting for me. He glanced at me and asked, "You disappeared right after dinner. Where did you run off to?" Brother Jijia took me to buy sugar figures. Call him uncle. With a face full of confusion, I stammered, "Uncle." Brother Jijia took me to buy sugar figures. My brother let out a sigh and pinched my cheek in frustration. Senta sway sway. "I meant for you to call Jijia uncle." Me, oh. My brother seems to really dislike Jijia, because every time Jijia comes over, my brother loudly calls out, "Little uncle." He also pokes me, and I immediately understand, joining my brother in shouting, "Little uncle." The overlapping shouts of little uncle make Jijia's face turn dark. And only then does my brother grab me by the neck and drag me back to the rear courtyard. I looked up at my brother and asked him why he made me call him uncle too. My brother gave me a mature and steady glance, saying it was to prevent trouble before it happened, to give Jijia a psychological shadow in advance. But I didn't dare tell my brother that Jijia didn't seem to have any psychological shadow. Every time he came to see my brother and brought me snacks, whether I called him brother or uncle, he didn't mind, but Jijia might have figured out the pattern. If the snacks he brought suited my taste, I would call him brother. If I didn't like them, I would call him uncle. So Jijia figured out that I have a sweet tooth, and my favorite is red bean rolls. Jijia took the red bean roll from my hand and said gently, "You've had enough for today. Any more and you might get indigestion." Before I could open my mouth to protest, my neck started to itch. I reached up to scratch it, but my hand was lightly tapped away by a fan handle. Jijia suddenly leaned in close to look at my neck, the sweet scent of red bean paste wafting towards me. My whole body tensed up, and my words came out stammering. "Why, don't get so close, you have a rash on your neck. What did you eat at noon?" Li Qing suddenly remembered and said urgently, "The young lady had roasted lamb and lamb soup at noon. It's my fault. Red beans and lamb are incompatible." Jijia took a bottle of pills from his sleeve and stuffed 2 into my mouth. My eyes lit up. Hawthorn flavor, Shumeen pills. I'm afraid they might not taste good, so I added some hawthorn. Jijia nodded. "You put everything in your mouth every day, so you should always keep some of this medicine on hand." Looking at Jijia's warm expression, I couldn't help but ask, "Uncle, why do you smell different every day?" Jijia looked puzzled. "I've never used any incense." "What smell are you talking about, Aceway? Yesterday you smelled like peach blossoms. Today it's red bean." I was completely baffled. It's as if whatever snack he brings, he ends up smelling like it. How strange. "What scent does your brother have?" Brother used to smell of pine and cypress, but now he carries the fragrance of ink. After the last allergic reaction, brother ordered the gatekeeper, old uncle, to guard strictly and no longer allow Jijia to enter. "A good man can't withstand a turtle's persuasion," brother said with a face full of anger. Claiming that Jijia kept coming to our house for no good reason and definitely had ill intentions, I couldn't help but argue, "Brother, actually uncle is really good." My brother tugged on my ear and scolded angrily, "You little girl must be bewitched by that old fox's face. What's so good about him?" My temper flared up instantly. He is good, handsome, mature enough to know how to care for people, and he even has a different scent every day. My brother froze, his face full of horror. "What? He already has the smell of an old man." Mother gave elder brother a hard smack, telling him that if he really had nothing better to do, he might as well go help elder sister with the baby. Even if elder brother didn't let Jijia in, Jijia hadn't come for several days anyway. Mother said the Empress is hosting a grand spring banquet, so Jijia is probably busy with that. Mother said I have to go to the spring banquet too, so I'll get to see Jijia then, at the spring banquet. I sat beside Mother and quietly leaned forward to wave at Jijia. Jijia had just raised an eyebrow at me when the palace eunuch loudly announced, "Your Majesty, the Empress has arrived." Tilda. Everyone rose together to pay their respects. After the greetings, I obediently shrank beside my mother, trying to stay as inconspicuous as a quail. The Empress glanced around the room and spoke gently, Let the youngest daughter of the center family come forward, I wish to have a look at her. My mother nudged me, I straightened my dress, took small steps forward, and performed a full ceremonial bow. Your humble servant, Center Sway, pays respects to the Empress. May the Empress live 1,000 years. The Queen smiled gently, telling me to rise, then turned her head to the Prince and said, "This is the little sister you thought looked like a tangyuan when you were young. She's all grown up now." I turned and bowed to the Prince. "Your humble servant pays respects to your Highness." After exchanging a few pleasantries, I returned to my seat. The Prince ordered a servant to bring 2 portions of pastries. I focused on eating the pastries and didn't notice the worry in my mother's eyes. After the banquet ended, as soon as we returned to the mansion gate, I spotted the G family's carriage. Ji's carriage is faster than ours. After all, Ji said he had something to discuss with my elder brother. Mother said she was tired and asked me to show Ji the way. But Ji already knows where my elder brother is. Why would he need me to guide him? Ji handed me the food box he was carrying, lotus flower pastries. I can definitely show him the way. Ji opened the food box, handed me a lotus flower pastry, and casually asked, "What does the Crown Prince taste like?" "Sesame flavor." Ji's face was full of tenderness, a smile in the corners of his eyes. "Are you saying he has a black heart?" I shook my head vigorously. No. Crown Prince brother is the sweet kind of sesame filling. Ji's face darkened as he snatched the lotus pastry from my hand, turned around, and walked away, muttering something about how I call everyone brother all day long. Looking at the crumbs of the lotus pastry on my fingertips, I couldn't help but complain. "It's not like I call everyone brother, you're an uncle." After all, Ji walked even faster, still holding my lotus pastry. Mother said the Emperor is arranging a marriage for the Crown Prince. My sister, holding her child, anxiously paced around the room, while father sat drinking tea with a grim expression. My brother carried me outside the door, hesitated for a moment, and asked me, Sway, tell your brother, do you like Ji?" I nodded and said seriously, "Uncle is always fragrant every day. I like him." "Is the Crown Prince smelly?" I shook my head. "The Crown Prince is also fragrant." My elder brother didn't understand what I was saying. After thinking for a moment, he asked, "Between Ji and the Crown Prince, who smells better?" "Uncle smells better, because Uncle has a different fragrance every day." My brother held my head and shook it back and forth. "Your head is always filled with thoughts of food. Can't you think about something useful for once?" The next day, Ji brought several jars of fine peach blossom wine, saying that my elder brother had sent him. My elder brother shot Ji a sidelong glance, then casually picked me up. "Bring your peach blossom wine. Come to my courtyard." In my elder brother's courtyard, there was a pavilion overlooking the pond. When the wind blew, the aroma of peach blossom wine mingled with the peach blossom scent from Ji, filling the air. Just a whiff was enough to intoxicate anyone. I had only drunk half a cup of peach blossom wine when my elder brother snatched the cup away from me. I lay slumped over the low table, my chin resting on the edge of Ji's sleeve, feeling drowsy. At the tip of my nose was a scent I had never smelled on Ji before. Like the sharp scent of soap dried under the thin winter sun, I rubbed against Ji's sleeve, feeling drowsy and dazed, and in my haze, I seemed to hear my elder brother crying. I moved over to my elder brother and clumsily wiped away his tears, then turned to glare at Ji. "Uncle, you're not allowed to bully my elder brother." Ji looked at me through the mist in his eyes and said, "All right, I won't bully your elder brother." Although the household appeared peaceful on the surface, even my usually steady and composed father had started shaking his head and sighing for no apparent reason. My elder brother no longer had the gatekeeper uncle stop Ji from entering, and my mother even allowed Ji to take me out to play. Under the clear, boundless sky, I sat on Ji's painted boat, swaying gently as I ate the chilled sweet dumplings he had prepared. I leaned in close to Ji and took a sniff. A faint, sweet scent of sesame wafted into my nostrils. I asked in confusion, "Uncle, why do you smell like sesame too?" Ji shot me a glare. "What, is the sesame scent on me not as pleasant as the one on your Crown Prince brother?" Before I could tell Ji that his scent was even better, a strong odor rushed into my nostrils. I quickly dropped the spoon in my hand and covered my nose. "Help, it's so smelly. My head is about to be overwhelmed by the stench." I weakly waved my hand. "It smells strongly of rotten shrimp." Ji paused for a moment, pushed open the window of the painted boat, and looked outside. "It's the Crown Prince's painted boat. But I only ordered someone to smear some stinky tofu juice under his boat, not any rotten stuff." Ji was taken aback and instructed the boat to move closer. then handed me a handkerchief scented with sesame fragrance from his sleeve. "Aceway, bear with it for now, we'll take a quick look and then leave." The pleasure boat approached within the time it takes to drink a cup of tea when Jijia suddenly left the cabin and stood at the bow, asking, "Is that His Highness the Crown Prince's boat ahead?" The Crown Prince's voice came from outside. "What a coincidence. Brother G is accompanying someone on a lake tour. I've also invited someone. My apologies for the disturbance. Your Highness, please carry on." Jijia ordered the boat to dock and whispered in my ear, "There's someone else in the Crown Prince's pleasure boat, but they haven't shown themselves. I wonder who it could be." I stood on the shore and took a deep breath of fresh air. It must be Sister Zhao. I caught her scent at the spring banquet. She has a slightly sour smell about her. Jijia suddenly turned serious and hesitated for a moment before asking, "His Majesty is holding a selection in the autumn to choose consorts for the princes. Your family is on the list. Are you willing to go?" I tightened my grip on the silk handkerchief in my hand. "If I refuse, will His Majesty make things difficult for the Center family?" "Aceway, you don't need to consider others. Just tell me, are you willing or not?" I looked up at Jijia and asked word by word, "Uncle, are you willing for me to go?" For some reason, father and brother became extremely busy, and Jijia also started to get busy. I didn't see Jijia for over half a month. But every day he would send someone to bring me some snacks and silk handkerchiefs with the same fragrance. My sister glanced at the handkerchiefs with disdain, shivering all over, and bluntly said that Jijia was effeminate. No wonder he couldn't find a wife at such an old age. I was playing with the baby in my sister's arms and hadn't had time to speak up for Jijia when the gatekeeper uncle came to announce that Zhao Yu, the legitimate daughter of the Zhao family, had come to visit me. My sister asked me in confusion, "Our family usually doesn't interact with the general's residence. What is she here for? Guests should be welcomed. Since she asked to see you, you should go and meet her." My mother reached out to straighten my collar, adding, "If she tries to bully you." I cut off my mother's words. "I know, my elder brother taught me, turn around and run, the kind of running where you'd lose your shoes." Li Qing said Zhao Yu was waiting for me in the front hall. But before I even reached it, I caught a strong, sour scent of vinegar in the air. After exchanging greetings, I quickly ordered some tea and snacks, then asked with a cheerful smile, "Sister Zhao, did you come to see me for something today?" Zhao Yu picked up a piece of mung bean cake and said with a smile, "The other day while boating, I heard from our cousin the Crown Prince that Miss Center is quite a remarkable person. So today, I came to see just how remarkable you are." I pretended not to hear, focusing entirely on nibbling my cake. "Are you also planning to participate in the autumn selection?" I nodded. "His Majesty now values literary talent. My father is the Grand Tutor, and the Empress even mentioned my name during the spring banquet to meet the Crown Prince. I suppose I have to go, who knows?" I left my words unfinished. Zhao Li impatiently tossed the mung bean cake back onto the plate. "Do you know that the Crown Prince and I have been close since childhood?" I didn't know. I shook my head. "But now that I do, I'll be counting on you to look out for me during the selection." "Sister," Zhao Li said I was stubborn and would teach me a lesson sooner or later, then turned and left. I looked at the mung bean cakes with regret. Such good pastries had been touched by a pig. Before I could finish my sigh, my brother hurried over to my side. After confirming I was fine, he asked, "Did that madwoman from the Zhao family come to see you? What did she say?" "She said she and the Crown Prince grew up together, implying in every way that I should back off." I scratched my head. "I told her too, the autumn selection will depend on our own abilities." My brother looked panicked and scolded me in a low voice. "Why did you tell her that? Our family will definitely find a way to keep you from entering the palace." I imitated Jijia's demeanor from the day we boated on the lake, calmly replying to my elder brother, "Uncle taught me, saying that when you want to catch fish, you first muddy the waters." My elder brother frowned, his face full of unspoken thoughts. A few days later, news of the Crown Prince's downfall spread like wildfire. It was said that the Emperor had discovered the Crown Prince's lack of personal virtue and his collusion with the Zhao family in embezzling military funds. The Emperor had never favored the Crown Prince, and he used this incident to suppress both the Crown Prince and the Zhao family, the Empress's maternal clan, while also reclaiming military authority. Additionally, it was said that since the Zhao family's daughter was willing to lower herself to climb into the Crown Prince's bed, she was directly installed as the principal wife in the deposed Crown Prince's residence to attend to his daily needs. My elder brother let out a sigh of relief and said that from now on, he could once again instruct the gatekeeper uncle to keep Jijia from entering. I couldn't help but ask my brother why he held such a strong grudge against Jijia. My father shook his head at my brother and said that when I was 2 years old, Jie had secretly carried me back to his home. My brother had cried and searched for me for half a day before I was finally returned by Mrs. G. Ever since then, my brother had never had a good opinion of Jie. Under the strict vigilance of the gatekeeper uncle and my brother, Jie couldn't find any opportunity to see me, but I had a way to go find Jie to play. While waiting for the sugar figurines by the street with Jie, we saw a wedding procession. The music and celebration were lively and joyous, but despite the happy occasion, Jie's eyebrows were almost knitted together. He said gloomily, "Everyone in the capital says that at my age, I probably won't be able to find a wife and will end up alone for the rest of my life." Seeing the desolation all over Jie's face, I couldn't help but tug at his sleeve. "Don't be sad, they're all talking nonsense. My older brother is about your age and not as handsome as you. He's definitely going to be the one at the bottom, not you," Jie said hoarsely. "Aceway, there's no need to comfort me, I know I'm already old. And with no official rank or position to rely on, no respectable family would want to marry their daughter to me. I'm well aware of it. It's all right, I'm fine being alone." The more Jie spoke, the more pitiful he sounded. I quickly comforted him. "Who says that? In my eyes, Uncle is the best man in the world, second only to my father. What good does that do? Then I'll marry you." Jie looked at me listlessly. "Aceway, you don't have to marry me just because you feel sorry for me." "No, Jie, I really like you." Before I could finish speaking, my brother appeared out of nowhere, grabbed me by the back of my neck, and dragged me home. "Center sway. Wait for your brother to find you more suitable young men to meet. Jie is not an option, he's as cunning as they come, and you can't outsmart him." My brother earnestly gathered a box of portraits of men for me to look at, saying that the Zhong family's young master is highly talented. The Li family's young gentleman is steady and honest, the Qi family's eldest brother is peerless in martial arts, and the Yu family's younger brother is as handsome as Pan En. I was so dizzy from flipping through the portraits that I just asked my brother, "Can they keep me company every day?" My brother was taken aback for a moment, then brought out another chest of portraits, saying these were all the ones who could keep me company, and told me to pick as many as I wanted. Before my brother could even finish selecting the candidates, the imperial decree came down, announcing that the autumn grand selection would proceed as usual, but this time it was to choose a consort for the second prince. Yet now, everyone knows that the second prince is the undisputed crown prince. Just waiting for an auspicious day to announce the decree, my brother stomped his foot in frustration, muttering, "The second prince is an upright man. Where on earth can we dig up any dirt on him?" My brother glanced at me munching on a pastry and added, "Besides, His Majesty has long intended for Asui to enter the Eastern Palace. But, Asui, go to the small kitchen and cook a bowl of noodles for your father." Father interrupted my brother's words. "I'm a bit hungry, father. I've grown up and understand things now. The family doesn't want me to suffer in the palace." I put down the pastry in my hand, looking serious. "Father, why don't you go propose to the Ji family? I like Jie. The center family is on the selection list. Wouldn't it be a slap in the emperor's face if you rashly got engaged to Jie?" My brother was so angry his head was about to explode. Selection. Must it always be about selecting consorts? Can't one just choose whoever they like and settle it directly? While the whole family was gloomy and dejected, I took Li Qing to Qinglong Temple. Li Qing thought I was going to pray to Buddha to be eliminated from the selection. So she bowed even more devoutly than I did, but when Li Qing secretly saw me slipping silver notes to the abbot, she couldn't help but open her mouth wide. How influential is Qinglong Temple? Can they even interfere with palace affairs? What nonsense are you talking? I patted Li Qing's head. I asked the abbot to say that my fate lacks the wood element and my destiny is unfavorable. The emperor dotes on the second prince the most, he surely wouldn't let him marry a girl with an unlucky fate. Li Qing was stunned, murmuring, Then the young master of the Ji family wouldn't dare to look down on you, would he? I've long prepared a backup plan. I lack wood in my destiny, and the character Ji contains wood. Isn't that a match made in heaven?" I leaned close to Li Qing's ear and whispered, "If he really dares to look down on me, I'll never let Uncle the gatekeeper open the door for him again, and I'll even have my brother stand guard at the entrance." As I happily followed Li Qing home, I saw my brother anxiously pacing back and forth at the door. My brother said angrily that a palace envoy had come to the main hall to deliver an imperial decree. I shuddered all over, clenched my fists, and followed my brother to the main hall. The imperial edict was delivered by Eunuch Center, a close attendant of His Majesty, and it took quite a while to read through the long list of contents, which included both a marriage arrangement and various rewards. But the only words echoing in my ears were, Jijie. Eunuch Center said that this decree was something Jijie personally went to ask the emperor for, and in exchange, he even agreed to enter the Hanlin Academy after the new year. My parents took the imperial edict with beaming smiles, and even my brother softened his expression a little, though he stubbornly muttered that Jijie was getting off easy. I am going to marry Jijie, coming to my senses. I quickly asked Li Qing to take more silver to the Azure Dragon Temple to find the abbot. The abbot probably hadn't yet spread the word that my fate lacked the wood element. Once the marriage was settled, my brother dug up a pile of mental cultivation techniques and military strategies from who knows where. Teaching me every day, he said that learning these would help me grow wiser and guard against Jijie's schemes. Jijie also started coming and going freely in our home, except every time he visited, my brother would be right there watching the two of us. When Jijie brought over a stack of storybooks, my brother was full of disdain, saying it was Jijie who had corrupted me. After expressing his disdain, my brother suddenly leaned close to Jijie with a mischievous grin. Jijie, if you marry Aceway, you'll have to call me brother. Brother, Jijie called out quickly, but my brother froze for a moment. Jijie smiled and called out again. Brother. My elder brother reached out to pinch Jijie's cheek, asking in disbelief, Jijie, is this still you? I pushed my elder brother aside, shielding Jijie behind me, and said angrily, Elder brother, you can't always bully Jijie, it's just a form of address. From now on, let Shinjie call you elder brother. And you call him uncle. You two can address each other however you like. Jijie rubbed the top of my head and said, Aceway, it's alright, after all, I am older, and being able to marry you is already a blessing. If it makes you happy, I'd gladly call him elder brother every day. I looked at my elder brother with frustration, extended my little finger, and said, your heart is only this big. I pulled Jijie away without looking back, while my brother roared behind us, Jijie. Just keep acting, Center Sway. You believe him too. On the eve of the wedding, my father specifically called me to his study and handed me a heavy wooden box filled to the brim with large denomination banknotes. I widened my eyes and said, Dad, you've secretly saved up so much private money. Dad shushed me and whispered, keep your voice down. I sold several rare books to gather this money for you. The Ji family is a prestigious clan, and now Jijie holds an official position at court. When you go to the Ji household, you'll need to manage the servants and such. Having more silver on hand is always safer. My eyes sparkled as I thanked Dad. He sighed softly and said, Jijie secretly helped the emperor investigate the former crown prince's downfall, and he entered the court for your sake. I've spoken with Jijie, and he said he doesn't want you to be gossiped about for having a husband with no rank or official position. Suddenly, Dad's eyes reddened, and he patted my head. But my Aceway is also a sensible and good child, understanding and considerate, willing to sacrifice everything for those you care about. My daughter is worthy of Jijie. Just as I was about to step forward to comfort Dad, my eavesdropping brother outside the door burst into tears. Father opened the door and kicked my brother hard twice. How dare you eavesdrop on anyone's conversation? If you dare tell your mother about me hiding the rare book, I'll break your legs. On my wedding day, my brother carried me to the bridal sedan chair, crying so hard that tears and mucus streamed down his face. I didn't even have time to cry myself, as I was too busy comforting my brother, but his sobbing broke my heart. I couldn't hold back any longer and grabbed Jijie, who was about to mount his horse, pleading sorrowfully, could you marry my brother as well while you're at it? He's worthy of my little sister. My brother punched Jijie. If you dare treat Aceway poorly, I'll write until my brush wears out just to drag you down from the Hanlin Academy. My brother seems a bit slow in the head. I directly slipped into the bridal sedan without telling him that Jijie had also bought a house on North Street. We circled the capital 3 times before Jijie finally had the wedding procession turn into the Ji residence. After Jijie lifted my bridal veil with the wedding scale, I stared at him in his wedding attire for a long time. Jijie is just too handsome. The matchmaker's laughter pulled me back to reality. This newlywed couple shouldn't both be spacing out. Hurry up and drink the nuptial wine. You'll have all night to look your fill. My cheeks burning, I took the wine cup, not noticing that even Jijie's ears had turned bright red. Jijie led the whole room of guests to the front hall for drinks, just as Liching had finished removing my hairpins and accessories. A young maid knocked on the door saying that Jijie had ordered some food prepared for me, telling me to rest first. I was lying on the bed resting after a full meal when Jijie, dead drunk and unconscious, was carried in. I quickly ordered someone to prepare hot water, intending to wipe Jijia down, but before my hand could even touch him, he grabbed it firmly in his palm. Well, Jijia, so you were pretending to be unconscious, weren't you? I lightly patted him. No wonder my brother says you're a sly fox. Such a fine day, how could I waste it outside with them? Jijia suddenly sat up. I'll go wash up first. Aceway, wait for me in the room. About the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, Jijia, fresh and clean, sat by the bed, holding me on his lap, and kissed the corner of my eye. Sway, what flavor am I today? Blushing, I whispered softly. Plum flavor. Do you like it? My favorite plum flavor. The sky was fully bright. When I reached out with my eyes closed, Jijia was no longer on the bed. I sniffed the sweet, cloying scent of plum lingering in the bedding and called out hoarsely, Li Qing. Li Qing entered the room quietly and said softly, "You're awake, miss. The young master has gone to the backyard. He specifically told us not to wake you." "I need to get up," I said, grabbing my clothes and dressing as I spoke. "Mother said I must learn to care for Jijia and not let him always take care of me." I asked Li Qing to go check on the breakfast and prepare some soft, hangover-friendly food, then went alone to find Jijia. Just as I reached the bathhouse, I heard Jijia telling a Qing to add dried red dates to the tub. A Qing, add more dried red dates, and have the small kitchen send over the date paste pastries they prepared to the young mistress first. A Qing's voice sounded resentful. "Young master, you soak in the bath morning and night, changing the scent every day. Do you really think the young mistress will like it? Do you think I rely on what to charm your young mistress? On what?" I pushed open the window, staring wide-eyed at Jijia. "My husband is truly tireless, taking baths morning and night." Jijia awkwardly shrank deeper into the water, forcing a laugh and saying, To please my wife, I could soak all day." I smiled, my eyes curving like crescent moons. "Then, little uncle, you can soak here day and night." Extra chapter, Jijia. When I was 7 years old, my mother took me to the center residence. She said there was a little sister at the center family who was having her ceremony that day, and everyone was invited to add to the festive atmosphere. When we arrived at the center residence, 5-year-old Center Sway proudly showed me a chubby little girl who looked like a meatball. "Look, this is my sister Sway Sway, isn't she adorable?" I watched as the soft and adorable Sway Sway reached out and grabbed my sleeve. In my fluster, I remembered I still had some uneaten plum blossom pastries from the morning tucked in my sleeve. From then on, I often went to the center residence to find Center Sway. Accompanying him in teasing Aceway, I discovered that Aceway had an exceptionally keen sense of smell. After I bathed with dried tangerine peel last night, today Aceway could stare at me and shout, "Orange." Later, I began to feel something was slightly off, because Aceway always said that my attendant Qing Han stank. It wasn't until I accidentally discovered that Qing Han was a thief in our own household that I realized Aceway could identify people by their scent. My schoolwork was becoming increasingly heavy, but I still made an effort to find time to visit the center residence to play with Aceway. When Mother asked me if I liked the eldest daughter of the center family, Center Sueha, I was taken aback and realized I had reached the age for marriage arrangements. Afraid of causing misunderstandings, I stopped visiting the center residence. I was afraid Aceway would forget me, so at every lantern festival, street fair, or lively gathering, I would go and pretend to run into the center family by chance, but Aceway only had eyes for the delicious food filling the streets. Later, before each meeting with Aceway, I would find ways to soak in scented baths to make myself smell pleasant. Asui still doesn't remember me. I saw Asui when I accompanied the Lin family to deliver the invitation to Center Sueha. When Asui stared at me with those misty eyes, I felt utterly exhausted. I had deliberately appeared before her so many times. Yet this foodie stubbornly failed to remember me even once. I should have just kept her in the courtyard back when I secretly carried Asui home back then. Using the excuse of looking for Center Sway, I brought Asui delicious treats every day. Today I brought malt candy, so I soaked myself in malt sugar syrup the night before, a different scent every day. I don't believe Asui still won't remember me. Sure enough, Asui kept sniffing around me every day. If I could ignore Center Sway's sour expression, I might have long ago reached out to pinch Asui's nose. Battling wits with Center Sway made the days fly by. The emperor announced an autumn selection to choose consorts for the crown prince and the second prince, and the center family was also on the list. When His Majesty came to drink with my father, he subtly expressed his annoyance that the empress, relying on the Zhao family's power, had even extended her influence to the imperial court. After 3 rounds of drinks, His Majesty was drunk and carried back to the palace in the imperial carriage. My father wiped his face to sober up a bit and asked me, "Do you know what His Majesty meant?" I nodded. My father said if I wanted to petition His Majesty for an edict, I would need to have some achievements to my name, my own father. After working non-stop for several days, I finally uncovered evidence that the Crown Prince had colluded with the Zhao family to embezzle a large sum of military funds. Not only did I find Zhao Yu in disheveled clothing in the Eastern Palace, but more importantly, I discovered a dragon robe. The Crown Prince was deposed, and after His Majesty handled all the affairs, I requested permission to marry Aceway. His Majesty said that since my father had retired, I should enter the court to assist him. I understood this was to pave the way for the second prince and cultivate his supporters. After watching His Majesty finish writing the decree, I agreed to his request. His Majesty laughed at me, saying he must meet Aceway to see what kind of woman could be worth such great efforts on my part. The taste of strong liquor, the really spicy kind. After the grand wedding, Asui learned my secret. I had to coax Asui for many days before she finally let me sleep in the bed. Asui nestled in my arms and said she had smelled a scent on me before, like mint-scented soap, that made her feel at ease. From then on, I never used any random stuff for my baths again. As Aceway approached her due date, I went to Qinglong Temple to pray. The abbot of Qinglong Temple told me that back then, to avoid entering the palace, Aceway had spent a fortune asking him to spread the rumor that she had an unfavorable fate and lacked the wood element in her destiny. My heart warmed, and I quickly asked A Qing to donate more incense money to the abbot. Lacking the wood element in her destiny, doesn't that mean she was missing me in her life? Woo woo. Aceway really does love me to death. Side story, Ji Jinan. My uncle says the best quality my father has is being a henpecked husband. My father says the most annoying thing about my uncle is that he's a sister-con. My grandmother says both of them are a bit problematic, because when mother was giving birth to me, father and uncle hugged each other and cried outside the door, listening to mother's muffled groans. Father cherishes mother and didn't want her to suffer the pains of childbirth again, so I'm the only child in the family, but I wanted a little sister. Father said that uncle has daughters at his house, and told me to visit my maternal grandparents' home to see uncle's twin girls whenever I had free time. The little sisters were soft and adorable, giggling at the slightest poke. They were just too cute. When no one was looking, I secretly carried one of the sisters back home. Within the time it takes for one incense stick to burn, uncle stormed into our house, scooped up the little sister, and gritting his teeth, yelled at my father, "Your rotten kid learned this from you. Ji Jeje, can't you teach him anything decent?" No sooner had my uncle left than my father sent me off to my maternal grandparents' home. My father told my grandfather that his own abilities were limited and he couldn't teach me properly, hoping that my well-read uncle could take over my education. My uncle and I stared at each other in surprise, and he remarked that my father had sent me here just so he could enjoy some alone time with my mother. "I know," I admitted with a nod, "it was my idea. I want to play with my little sister every day." My uncle gritted his teeth but couldn't bear to hit me. So every day after teaching me to read and write, he would send me home. Early the next morning, before my father went to court, he would send me to my maternal grandparents' house. After half a year of this back and forth, my uncle, who had lost weight, held on to me, who had grown chubbier, and muttered darkly that he must have owed my father a debt from a past life. "If you don't want to send me, that's fine," I said, looking up at my uncle. "My father said you have to call him uncle. So we should be of the same generation. Can't I ask for a sister from someone of the same generation? After all, you have 2 daughters." That evening, my uncle sent me back to mother and even complained to her. Mother's palm landed on my bottom, and my wails filled the entire courtyard. "I just want a sister, what's wrong with that?